If my dad were listening and watching what's going on with the honor with the trailer history, the one thing he would say is you're talking about me too much. You're not talking about Charlotte enough. The one thing that is most meaningful to our family is not that he's being recognized for his artistic talents, which were incredible, but he's being recognized as someone who made a difference in a town that he clearly loved.
I was able to get to know Loonis on many levels. One, just as an admirer, as a young person growing up in Charlotte music business. In 2007, I booked Tony Bennett for Music with Friends at McGlohon Theater. But my day started when I picked Tony up, walked across the street from the Dunhill, and as we entered the foyer, he looked up at the big portrait of Loonis, and he just admired the painting for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then after that, he turned around to me. He said, "Let me tell you something. Both Frank Sinatra and I think the world of Loonis. You have one of the great composers and great human beings of all time living in your city." And all he wanted to talk to me about that day was Loonis. And I couldn't even get him to concentrate on doing his own sound check because he was so excited about sharing his life with Loonis and all the things that Loonis had meant to him.
I was dating my wife, and she said, "Rick, I'm going to this church over here." And she said, "There's a wonderful person there, Loonis McGlohon, who directs choir." I went to that service and I heard Loonis play. I said, "Woo, that's my church." We became fast friends that night. I've never seen anything like it. He was humble. He was one of the most humble people I've ever met. This is Loonis's strong suit. He would introduce people to other musicians. He would say, "I want you to meet. He created a family of musicians that not only loved him and he loved them, but they melded together as a family. And that exists today.
I was traveling in Charlotte, stopped by the house, went in the back door and didn't see Mom and Dad, but I did see someone sitting there reading at the kitchen table. And I said, "Excuse me," when I went in. The man turned around, it was Tony Bennett. And so I sort of did a double take. I said, "Mr. Bennett, nice to see you. I'm Loonis McGlohon." I said, "What brings you to Charlotte?" And he said, "Your dad brings me to Charlotte. We're doing some recording. I wanted to do it in New York or LA, but Loonis said, we've got musicians and recording studios right here in Charlotte that are the equal to what you'll find anywhere." And that was my dad. He shamelessly promoted Charlotte for his entire adult life.
I run a small endowment for Loonis, and part of our mission is to introduce new talent to the community. I think Loonis would like to see these young people nurtured, accepted, nurtured, and spotlighted. Find a spotlight for them, but then also accept them into the community of musicians and do all you can to get them going. They just need somebody to help open the door for them.
I think the one thing he would say as we move forward that the arts need to continue to be an important part of our city. The other thing I think he would say is we need to maintain high expectations. He exemplified that. He not only talked about Charlotte and Mecklenburg County in his hometown, his home state, and in this nation, but he did it everywhere he went. He spent time in London and Paris, Tokyo, China, Australia, playing in jazz clubs. And I can remember one evening that Peggy and I were fortunate enough to be sitting in London at a jazz club there. They introduced Dad and he came out and he played a song and he started talking to the audience. And he said, "I'm so glad to be here. London is a great city and so forth, but let me tell you about where I'm from. Let me tell you about Charlotte, North Carolina." And then he went on a long spiel about Charlotte. In fact, I looked at Peggy and I said, "Doesn't he understand that they don't want to hear about Charlotte? They want to hear him play?" And she looked back at me and she said, "Look at the audience." And they were fascinated with what they were hearing. But here's somebody from Charlotte, North Carolina, in London talking about his city as if it were New York or Los Angeles or any large major metropolitan area in this country. He had high expectations. And I think that's the one thing going forward that he would say to all of us is, expect Charlotte to continue to be a great city and to grow and to prosper.
Loonis signifies everything good about music, not just as an artist, not just as a composer, but as a humanitarian, and all the things that he contributed to our city. Loonis is one of many, many people that have been significant in the music world in Charlotte. But what Loonis's statue will represent, it will be the symbol for all of us who have participated in music. There is no better person to represent who we are in the music world, both regionally and nationally. So for anybody that knew him and for those that don't know him, that I look at him as being that symbol, a symbol that will represent music and what music means to Charlotte and our great community.